Hey everyone, welcome to Founders365 with me, Steven Haggerty. Today we have Gary Gumbleton. He is the founder of Capital Content, which is an amazing name. It almost sounds like a finance institute because that's how important content is, right? How are you today, Gary?
Oh, good, thank you. Thanks for having me along.
No, thanks for doing this. So straight into this, what is Capital Content about?
Well, we are a digital agency that focuses exclusively on video content. So we're not a production house. What we do is we handle the strategy for a company. So if they want to raise brand awareness or sell more product, we kind of build that strategy to help achieve those objectives using video content. Then we produce the content and then we kind of help with the guidance around getting eyeballs to those videos and helping them convert.
Fantastic. So when you say you're not a production house, so you won't go out there and send a videographer to a site, or?
Yeah, no, so we're not, what I mean by a production company is that normally a production company will just go out, shoot the video, edit it and send it over. And what we do is we handle the strategy as well. So
cool.
We have kind of 3 people in-house full time, but then we have kind of 10 videographers around the country that I send in when we can't do it internally. And those videographers have been like pre-selected on the type of person they are, as well as the quality of work that they do.
That's an interesting one, because I think we're all aware about how important video is for businesses now. What's the biggest change you've seen since starting the business 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, so I actually ran an agency for a couple of years in NZ, a video content agency, and then when I came back here, I started Capital Content. And yeah, so we're 3 years in April now, and I think really hasn't been much of a change. I mean, there's been a massive uptake, or increasing uptake over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to change is this whole episodical piece. So what it used to be was companies would make a 5-minute video, and about us or whatever it might be, and sit on that video for a year. No one really watches it. It's way too long. Nowadays, it's all about episodical content. So rather than one 5-minute video, you want 5 1-minute videos, or 10 30-second videos, really, because you want a video every week. Same time. So it's funny. What I explain to people is that it's no longer like the BBCs and the Netflixes making content anymore, or the majority of content. It's the hairdressers on the high street, but it's still the same kind of strategy. So, BBC and Netflix, let's say they release an episode every week. Again, the hairdresser on the high street needs to release an episode every week, but it's got to be 30 seconds and not 30 minutes. And that's one of the change that I'm trying to make to people. There hasn't necessarily been a change as a whole. It's more really a focus on video content. What I try to explain is that the biggest kind of buying group nowadays is the millennials, the big M word, right? And for years, we've been telling them, look, don't worry, it's okay, you're going to be able to buy a house. And now they're unable
to. All lies.
We've lied to them, and now they don't trust us. So what you now need to do is, when the millennials are researching a company, when they want to invest their cash in you, they want to be able to trust that company. The only way you can build trust is face-to-face, but you can't be face-to-face with all thousands of your customers. So the next best thing is video content. And that's the biggest side of it, is you've got to have this conversation via video to help build trust online nowadays.
And what typical businesses are you working with then?
Oh, mate, it ranges. I mean, it could be, a one-man band plumber right up to Deloitte, So, I mean, the bulk of it is kind of the SME, the small to medium, anything from 10 employees up to 50 employees. But yeah, we also have Deloitte. We have some major charities on board. So, I mean, yeah, it's anything really. Like I said, it could be a hairdresser, it could be an estate agent, it could be a professional services firm. It's literally you'll see the examples on our site. The industry verticals are so varied. It's actually really good for us because we never get bored. There's always something different to do each day,
Yeah, you're not recording the same sort of thing every day. And
yeah, that's right. Like, say, for example, we've got a shoot at Selhurst Park for Surrey FA. They're doing a quick video on what is it? It's kind of like a sensory room for extreme disability children, extremely disabled children, to be able to watch the games, but in a safer, more enclosed environment. Awesome. And then I've got a guy over in Barcelona doing a shoot at a health tech company at the moment. And what else do we have this week? A cup draw. Actually, a lot of sport and health has been this week, but yeah, it's so varied, and like we never get bored. It's great.
Amazing. When you came back and started the agency 3 years ago, did you know it was going to morph into what it is today, where you've got all these different projects on, or did you have a different vision for it?
No, I'm surprised at the speed of growth. When I moved to NZ years ago, I spent kind of 10 years there. And like I said, the last couple of years I ran an agency. And then when I came back, got married, came back, brought the wife with me. And what I realized was, I started telling people a couple of projects that I was doing when I first moved back. And I think New Zealand is such a small micro economy that the agencies needed to be really innovative to try and capture the small amount of dollars that were to be spent. Okay. So stuff that I was doing in NZ kind of 5 years ago now, the UK is only just starting to do now. And I think that's what's kind of helped as a catalyst for our growth, is that stuff that I'm pushing, like ideas that I'm coming up with, I did years ago in NZ. Yeah. So that's, I didn't really think that I would grow so quickly. Like I was, in my living room with a laptop and a camera, trying to avoid watching Netflix, eating toast, drinking coffee. And then all of a sudden, 6 months later, I got my first employee. Another 6 months later, I moved into a 2,000 square foot barn with 2 other employees. And it just kind of like exponentially grew without me, trying too hard. It was, it definitely grew into, the vision is there. It's definitely who we are and what I planned it to be. But yeah, I wasn't expecting the growth that we'd encountered. It's definitely not.
How have you handled the fast growth?
Well, it's funny because, like I mentioned, we have all these freelancers around the country, so we can breathe with the industry quite quickly. And when I moved into the agency in NZ, it was kind of a bare bone, so they just kind of were plodding along. And what I had done is put a lot of process improvement in there to be able to scale with ease and with speed. So I just pulled all of those processes over to the UK, and we can handle it. I can handle 10 shoots in a day because I have all these processes and stuff in place. What we do struggle with is sales, really. I wear a lot of hats, and I do a lot of sales. I do editing, I do shooting, I do everything. Do marketing, a whole lot. But to kind of keep that consistency of sales is quite tough. We had a bit of a quiet patch last year, but it's because we were so busy, I couldn't focus on sales, and then you get peaks and troughs. Yeah. So it's quite tough.
One of those catch-22 situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is 2020 the year to build out a sales team then?
Without a doubt. It's funny because we had a sales director. She's now on maternity leave at the moment, and what we've found, or there's another company called Cactus. I don't know if you know Cactus. They're kind of like an agency growth company, Spencer Gallagher and stuff like that. And they have all these tips and tricks on how to grow your agency. And they recently released a report, which I would definitely recommend any agency kind of having a look at that. And it basically explains where your sales leads come from, or where agency sales leads have come from over the past kind of couple of years. And outgoing emails, outgoing calls were like 1% of all leads.
Wow.
And what they kind of shown was that actually it's referrals and public speaking and thought leadership online were the majority of where leads come from. So and now when I look back, after reading that report, I look back at where all the last couple of sales have come from. Absolutely. We have hardly sold anything from cold emails, cold phone calls, but where I've raised my own personal brand for public speaking or doing thought leadership videos and referrals, that's where the majority has come from. So really, it's just a different way of looking at sales nowadays. You don't need a salesperson hitting the phones hard. Yeah. You've got to be strategic about it,
And that goes with your brand. Your brand is video, right?
So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If I had a random phone call from some guy saying, "Hey, I'm from Capital Content," I'll be like, "Who?" But now I've seen your stuff on LinkedIn, and I saw the the testimonial that you posted today or yesterday?
Yeah, no, it was the Catco Couch, was it? Or there was a
the Surrey FC.
Surrey FA, yeah, that's
FA.
right.
Yeah, which was excellent, dude. Well done on that. And that room sounds amazing.
Yeah, and the Surrey FA one, it's funny because that's also a sales tactic as well. So from a testimonial perspective, you can make as many testimonials as you want, but does that actually sell stuff? Yeah. You know, a lot of people get case studies and testimonials, but it's, you know, I feel for me, it doesn't help me buy a product. However, what we've done is we created that testimonial and then sent that testimonial directly to other FAs. And within like 4 days, we had booked the 5 other FAs meetings with that are around us as well. Yeah. So it's not only just about making that testimonial, but who you're going to target that testimonial to, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And just on your point about making that phone call as well, another massive tip, we call this thing called the PVC campaign, right? Personalized video content. So rather than me email someone, hey, Joe Blogs, we want to make content for you. What we now do is we create a personalized video. It's obviously very easy for us to do because we've got a studio here and stuff. But we actually record a video saying, hey, Joe Blogs, we've had a look at your website, you know, and we actually say their name and their business name and then send a screenshot of that video, hyperlink to the actual video itself. And the response rate has gone from 20-1 to 4-1. Wow. So we now get a 1 in 4 response because we've cut through the noise. We've been different, you know. We've used video, used our own tools, you know.
And that was actually going to be my next question, because there seems to be obviously a lot of agencies around, a lot of people pushing video. What have you noticed, or have you struggled or noticed that you have to be louder than the others to still get heard?
I don't know if it necessarily needs to be louder as such. It's more focused and conversational, you know. And this, I always feel like I'm, excuse me, teaching people to suck eggs in this point. But there's social media, right? Social media, keyword. And everybody's focusing on the media side. You know, no one focuses on the social side. If you were to meet somebody and they spoke to you, you wouldn't just say, "Good one," and then walk away. You know what I mean? You wouldn't just put a thumbs up. You got to have a conversation with somebody. You got to spark a conversation. You've got to be social in social media. So I think the key thing really is not necessarily to be louder. You've got to be laser targeted. You've really got to focus your content to the right audience, and you've got to be conversational. You know, you've got to show your personality too. You really got to, you know, people buy from people. If I turned up in a suit to a professional services meeting, or a meeting with a professional services company, they're going to assume that I'm just one of them, and they'll switch off. But if I rock up in my camo cap and my superstars, they instantly know, oh, he's a creative. You know, he's the guy that we need on board. You know, you've got to show your personality at all times, kind of thing.
Why do you think people struggle with the social side so much online, especially LinkedIn?
I think it's because it's easy for them to hide behind a screen. You know, again, these are all kind of cliches and stuff, but it's easy to not engage. It's easy just to thumb through or scroll through your feed. People are focused on sales, and they should be focused on relationship building. You'll know this. You probably get 5-10 a day. You'll connect with somebody. Within 30 seconds, you get a message pop up on your LinkedIn, and you're like, oh God, here we go. And you open up the message and it's, hey, we are a whatever company that's nothing related to your company, but we'd like to sell you some product. Would you like to book a meeting? And you're like, oh my God, please. And
can't find the unfriend button fast enough.
Yeah, some of them, I've kind of like gone back to them and said, does this actually work for you? Like, it's so funny. I've had people like that generates, you know, one of those leads companies. You know, they generate leads for you over LinkedIn, and they send me this message. And in fact, it actually said, "Hi Gary," and then "Hi Karen." And then what they've done is obviously they've copy and pasted their previous message to Karen and pasted it towards me. And I was like, firstly, look, my name's Gary. Secondly, does this actually work? Because if you were to do this approach for me as a lead generation company, I'd be embarrassed. You know, build a relationship over 3 months before you start selling. You know, just rock up to someone and go, "Hey, do you want to buy my product?" You say, "Hey, how's the weather?" You know, let's talk. Let's have a conversation over a beer first. Don't sell to me. You know, so I think that's the problem, is people are too much focused on selling rather than relationship building. It's always got to be relationship building first, and then you sell based off of the relationship, not based off of a binary connection. You know.
Yeah, and you know, You're only a Karen on a Sunday anyway. Right?
Yeah, that's right. It's funny. My mum's named Karen. Yeah, they might have.
Maybe they did their research. Maybe they did their research so well.
Yeah, that's right.
We
hear that your mum is named Karen. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Hey, Gary, how's your mum?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That would make you stop. That would make you stop.
That will make me reply. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. If anyone wants to contact Gary, all you have to do now is speak about his mum.
Hey, your mum Karen's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. One question that I get asked a lot to ask on the podcast from my community is about hiring staff. And when you went through, because you did it quite quickly within 6 months, even though you've run agencies before, when you hire staff, what was the biggest thing that you had to consider for them to fit into the Capital Content brand and business?
Yeah, I mean, initially that to try and put up with me. I'm one of these people that has, I'm so creative. I'm not bigging myself up, but I'm a creative person, and I have all of these ideas, and the people around me, imagine these ideas are birds flying away, and these people need to try and grab these birds and put them in a cage, and then develop that bird. So at first instance, they have to kind of like get on with me, or understand me as such. And then the next one, it's only a small company, but culture is kind of a thing. You've got to be relatively relaxed, and really you've got to understand the importance of video content. That's a very administrative way of looking at employing people, but I think it's definitely the type of person. I don't care about experience, that doesn't bother me. It's more about willingness to learn. How quickly can you learn, but actually what type of person are you? Because people buy from people. They don't buy. You might be knowledgeable about a product, but if you're an idiot, they're not going to buy from you.
Definitely. It's did you, on that job spec, let's say, did you put that down? Did you put like, hey, you got to get on with me, Gary?
I think I might have put it a little bit more professionally and said, you got to kind of fit in with the company culture. But it's funny, the people that I have recruited have been either friends or friends of friends. And that's been both good and bad, both in the agency in NZ and here. The agency in NZ, I actually employed my best man. I got married out there. My best man was my BDM for a while, and he kind of didn't perform very well. And it was like 2 weeks to Christmas. I'd already given him loads of chances, and sadly had to kind of let him go, 14 days before Christmas Day. So that was a very tough situation. But then, I recruited kind of a friend of a friend as a sales director. She's done really well, and that's worked okay.
Yeah.
But then, my head of production is a very close friend, and then I have another business called Capital Conference, which is an events company, and I employed someone who was a wife of a very close friend, and sadly, she left kind of very out of the blue, and it kind of, it ruined the relationship both between obviously me and her, and in particular me and my very close friends, because they're, not going into too much detail, but they just didn't talk to me about it. It was just like, oh, hey, I'm leaving in 3 weeks. See you later. And it cost me loads of money. It cost me loads of time. My mental health dropped considerably. It was such a major thing as part of the business. And we really struggled for months after her leaving as well. And it was such a stab of what I felt a stab in the heart. And that is the problem, or that was one of the problems with hiring a friend or a close friend, is that there's an emotional tie to your employee. I mean, there should be an emotional tie anyway. What I mean is they were a very close friend, and it's hindered stuff outside of the business, and it's a real shame.
You broke the rule of never hiring your friends and family.
Yeah, man, I've hired 4 friends now. It's such a shame, and they've all worked out except that one. It's unfortunate, but I've learned from it now.
Exactly. Question about that though: how did you pull yourself out of that mental space that it put you in?
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle, so she would have told me in the morning, and I'm a very emotive person anyway, right? And she would have told me in the morning, and I managed to kind of hold myself together throughout the day. She left, I went home. When I tried to explain what had happened to my wife when I got home, I just broke down. I just cried. I'm 6 foot, 110 kgs, and absolutely I will cry at stuff that is emotional. And it was such a tough time. I had serious anxiety, insomnia. I would be working 16 hours a day. I would, go to bed, and as soon as I try to shut off, my mind will start writing emails, writing tomorrow's emails. And then I would get a response. This is all obviously in my head. I would then get a response from that person, and then I'd have a fight with that person. But really, what I'm doing is I'm having a fight with myself. I'm making up these scenarios. So it was a really, really tough time, man. Like, it really affected me. And I think it's funny, I wrote an article about this the other day. What I noticed, or how I pulled myself out of that situation, was to share. I think sharing is key. A lot of men, they're all kind of staunch, and they go, no, I'm not going to talk about my problems. I'm just going to deal with it myself. I'm going to try and keep the tears in. Mm-hmm. It's okay to share. It's okay to cry. Get those problems out. Even if you don't solve those problems with that person, you really just got to say it out loud and get that stress off your shoulders. And I think the other thing, quite an administrative change, was I have a to-do list. I use an app called Wonderlist to do all my to-dos. And I actually changed the word to-do to priorities. Nice. And that simple change completely mixed everything up. It wasn't a matter of a list of to-dos. Oh God, I've got so many things to do. It was a list of priorities, and then everything becomes a priority. So that was a massive tip to kind of pull myself out. And I think there's also an element of switching off. I was working 16 hours a day. We all do. Coming home, checking voicemails, checking emails, all that kind of stuff. And there needs to be an element of, before you go to bed, turn your phone off for an hour before, because you do need that cut off. It's tough to go on holiday. If you don't work, you don't get paid. I'm a bit of a control freak. I try and, put thumbs in all the pies. So it's difficult for me to go away. But if you could just have an hour where no one can get hold of you, that is absolutely key, because you start to break out of that person that you're stuck in, and then you start to share and want to do more with other people outside of your phone.
Yeah. What's the biggest difference you've seen since making those slight changes?
Productivity, absolutely. I'm going bald, but I think less hair is falling out at a rate rather than more hair, should I say. And I think, it's more of a focus on what's more important than a focus on menial things. Like I said, when I go to bed, I write tomorrow's emails in my head. I don't need to do that. I can write tomorrow's emails tomorrow. I start now thinking about bigger stuff to say, who else can I get in front of in terms of a long-term sales strategy? I don't mind worrying about that in bed, because that's great. That generates revenue, that grows the business. But writing tomorrow's emails and arguing with that person when they're not actually arguing with me, I don't need to do that. So it's more focusing on your priorities rather than your to-dos.
Yeah. Excellent. So you're 3 years in. Mm-hmm. Where are you taking Capital Content? What's next for you guys?
That's a good question. I think obviously to grow, you need to diversify all these lovely buzzwords. We exclusively now just make video content. We do photography, and we do strategy. I think our next evolution is social, helping, we create the content, we might as well manage the content on social as well. At the moment, we just help people with guidance. So that's probably a big thing. What we're quite keen on is giving support to like interns or students, local students and whatnot. And I think what we'll bring on is maybe a couple of students that are at college to go, 2 days here, 3 days there, because the kids know how to run these social platforms. We can teach them how to create the content, and then we can obviously start charging for that. We need additional revenue streams is the aim. So social media is a big thing. One of our ethoses is that we don't charge for strategy. We don't charge for the ideas. We only charge for the production. Yeah. Most agencies will bring out portaloos and catering trucks on a 30-second video, whereas we, like I said, don't charge for that idea. We only charge for actually pressing the buttons and being on site. So I always want to try and keep that. I'll only charge for what we're actually doing rather than the big fluffy agency idea.
Yeah. When you get into that space of having meetings for the sake of meetings.
Man. There's loads of money in it. Don't get me wrong, because I can charge 50 grand for an idea, but I don't want to charge 50 grand for an idea.
That's it. It's that shows your values in business, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think if you're doing video the way you're doing, those values are the ones that come across and get shown. For you, what can you predict, or maybe not predict is the right word, but what can you foresee changing in the industry?
Do you know, I think it's just general, amount of content. No one is making enough. There are very few businesses in the UK making enough content. And I think that they don't think about what content they want to make either. So from a prediction perspective, not even a prediction, what I'd like to happen is for people to think about the content that they make. Don't just go out there and shoot a time lapse. Like, think about, what is this time lapse going to achieve when I post it out over social? And then just the sheer volume of content. You read all these things, there's going to be 80% of all internet traffic is going to be video in the next 5 years, blah 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 blah. But I genuinely think that's the truth. Businesses now need to, like I mentioned, be episodical. I want to tune in every 1 o'clock every Friday and watch a video from a particular company that I enjoy watching. So I think soon there's going to be a lot more structure, a lot more strategy, because that's what we do for our clients, and very few people are doing it nowadays. People need to bulk record content. Shoot 10 videos in a day. Don't shoot one video each day. Be a little amount of disruption, shall I say?
Exactly. Do you think the social platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook are going to change to help make that more doable?
I mean, there's not much more advancement you can really do now. I think it's funny. Facebook is great in terms of technology. They've got all these different ways of shooting video, live, all that kind of stuff. Engage, you can comment, blah blah blah. But your organic reach is super low. Yeah. Whereas then on LinkedIn, the functionality is not there at all. Very few people can go live. You can only just upload a video, maybe put a sticker on it, but your organic reach is massive. Like, I posted a video last week. It's got 5,000 views. For me to get 5,000 views on Facebook, I'm going to need to spend 20 quid, at minimum, So they're both good in terms of, the audiences that you want to get in front of. But there's not much more advancement. Even if you look at quality of video as well, there's only so much resolution that the human eye can see. So once we get to like 8K, there's no point. You don't need. It doesn't need to be any more, high res, because we can't see any more high res than that. And the problem that we are encountering now is disk space. Each shoot is now maybe half a terabyte.
Wow.
It's just nuts. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts.
I remember one of my first businesses, I was selling like USB keys and hard drives and things, and 16 gig USB key was seen as huge.
Yeah, man. I have the same story. I was around a mate's house. It was when I was at school years ago, and they just got themselves a new PC. And the guy who installed it said to my mate's mum, "Oh, this has got a 1 gigabyte hard drive. You won't be able to fill this in a lifetime." Oh, wow, he was wrong.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
it's amazing how technology just changes so quickly. It's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
So my final question to you, Gary, is what 3 tips can you give any business owner when it comes to creating content?
Oh, wow. Okay, 3 tips. So yeah, man. So I mean, the first one is, obviously everyone uses a mobile phone, or you should be using a mobile phone. The rear-facing camera versus the front-facing camera. Everyone uses a front-facing camera because they can see themselves. If you're going to do that, when you shoot the video, you need to look at the lens and not the actual screen itself. So if we're looking at the shot right now, I'm looking at the video of me and my eyes are looking down. Yeah. Whereas what you should be doing is looking at the lens and talking to people. And that's a way more engaging way of looking at it. However, you probably noticed everyone looks at the screen because they're looking at themselves. Well, we're doing it right now.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking.
That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is the background, like what's in the background of your shot. And what we would recommend is taking a selfie, looking at that picture and going, right, what can I remove? What can I tidy up? Like, you've got stats or, meeting notes or, things to do on your whiteboard right there. Whereas I've got branding. You can see my logo, whichever way it is, all these pictures and stuff like that. And then number 3, this is a really good one. So, and this is another one for you.
Yeah.
Podcasts. Everyone wants to make podcasts, which is great. Everyone wants to make loads of content, but they don't have time. What you want to do, and which you're kind of half doing now, is obviously shooting that podcast. You know, you have all this video, and then once you've shot that podcast using video, using a camera, you extract the audio and you upload that into your podcast platforms, which you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Next step is to then find 10 banger sound bites from the podcast video and cut those into trailers. No one's going to watch a 45-minute podcast video on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's just too long. But if you create 10, 15-second one-liners of me saying tips or sound bites or whatever, and then use those as 10 trailers over the social, then with a call to action to say, if you want to listen to the whole podcast, click here and get redirected. If you start posting audio on its own, you know, the platforms don't really like it. It looks a bit clunky. It's not as pretty. What they want is video. So you want to get like I said, a tip of me going, blah, 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 this is my story for 15 seconds with a call to action to say, watch more. That means then you've created 10 short trailers and a podcast all in one session.
Yeah, dude, smashed it.
Huge,
I'm taking notes myself.
Good lad. Well, what you want to do is watch out for the Capco Couch. So we've got a season of video content, 2 every week. And it's all about tips and tricks on how to create your own video content.
Fantastic. If anyone wants to contact you or speak with you directly, what's the best way to do it?
All the contact details are on capitalcontent.co. Flick me an email, give me a call, whatever you want. I'm more than happy to just have a chat about video content. If you've got ideas, if you want to create your own content, kind of ring me up and say, what would Gary do? We're really transparent. We've got public pricing. We have a budget calculator on our website as well, so you can actually go and see how much your business should be spending on video content, and a referral page as well. So if you want free booze, click that link. Let me know how you get on.
There we go. Thank you so much, Gary, for being on Founders365. You've been fantastic. This has been Founders365. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening.